The M3 Max MacBook Pro 16 is the most powerful laptop that I've ever owned. It's been great for gaming, great for content creation, and just great all around. So with that glowing intro, what have I liked and disliked about this after a solid week of use? Well, let's start by specifically laying out what model I currently owned. If you would like to see a better breakdown of all the myriad ordering options, I'll leave a link to my video covering that down below. The model that I purchased, yes, purchased, nobody loaned or gave me this laptop, is the base model M3 Max variant. So if you look at the website, it's the one all the way to the right. It's got the 14-core M3 Max CPU, 30-core GPU, 36 gigabytes of unified memory, and a 1 terabyte solid state drive. And this bad boy cost $34.99. I whispered that so that my wife wouldn't hopefully hear. I also got this in the silver color, which isn't what I wanted, but we'll talk more about that shortly. Let's start by digging into my likes and dislikes after using this for about 84 hours over the past week. It's probably more than that, because I'm on this computer way too much. Okay, that last sentence is kind of misleading because frankly, there isn't anything I dislike about this laptop. It replaced my M1 Max MacBook Pro seamlessly, and the MacBook Pro 16 body is still my absolute favorite design laptop of all time. I can't even think of a fun little nitpick to put here and try to show some kind of balanced opinion, which if you didn't know, having contrary opinions is factually how you become an unbiased person. That's a sarcasm. I do have a complaint about this whole process, but it's not about the laptop. It's that thing I mentioned earlier about the color. Initially, I ordered a space black version of this same laptop, but you might have noticed that this is not the space black version because it never showed up. It's still right now somewhere between Apple's distribution site and my house, lost to the ether of delivery services. I wouldn't normally bring this up because, hey, shipping things happen. Get it? Hey, ships happen. But this is the second time this year that this has happened to me. You may have noticed that I never made a video about the iPhone 15 standard because much like my space black MacBook Pro 16, it's also still somewhere out there in the logistical ether. It's frustrating to me because now I no longer have faith that my purchases from Apple will make it from their website to my house. Yes, Apple will refund and cancel those orders when things like this come up, but it's an extra hassle and I've never had to worry about that before, and I haven't had that problem with other brands. Now, let's talk about the MacBook because there is so much to like here. Starting with the physical construction, because that should be the quickest section, nothing has changed between the M1, the M2, and the M3 versions of this laptop. It's still the best laptop ever made. The build quality is next level. There isn't a millimeter of this laptop that doesn't feel like it's excessive price. The keyboard is still my favorite laptop keyboard on the market. It's got a very well laid out set of keys. The feedback is crisp yet springy. The edge is still on the sharper end, but I've learned to live with that in the past few years on my M1 Max variant. The ports are still the best ports you'll find on any laptop outside of a gaming or specifically built workstation laptop. I've personally moved away from needing the HDMI port on my home setup, and I do everything through a single Thunderbolt port, but when I'm traveling, it's been very nice not to need a single dongle. That's worth buying one of these new laptops right there. If you were still on one of the older Intel-based models that were trying to take away all the ports, this is a reason. Just by itself, that's a reason to buy. The display is still just so... It's legitimately better than both of my actual desktop monitors, and one of these monitors was made by Apple. You get gorgeous colors, crazy brightness, fast refresh rate, contrast ratio higher than I can count. It's just... There was even a bump in the standard dynamic range brightness to 600 nits this year, and I gotta tell you, you will be able to see this screen anywhere. Not only are all those tech whiz specs awesome, but the basic fact that you can see it anywhere you want to work makes this incredibly useful as a travel computer. The next thing I've liked is the performance. Here, it is kind of hard to quantify what I really liked about this because it's all about feeling, and I know how angry that makes certain tech nerds on the internet. Now, I did do some specific benchmarks, so you can see numbers over time and see the chart going up because some folks just have to see that chart going up. One thing to note about the numbers you're seeing is you're not going to see a lot of other numbers on this graph because this is the first video in which I've used the latest Cinebench R24. I've previously used 22 and 23 in the past. 24 has some new testing options and new benchmarking methods. So I also ran R24 on my M1 Max MacBook Pro as a comparison because I do consider it the actual pro laptop standard. You'll see the M3 Max roundly stomps its older M1 sibling across single-core, multi-core performance in the new Cinebench GPU test. Why these numbers matter is I still don't have a problem with my... I'm pointing down there because that's where my MacBook is. I still don't have a problem with the performance on that M1 Max MacBook Pro 16. It easily handles everything I throw at it without any problems, be those thermal, memory, anything. It was working perfectly fine a week and a half ago before this showed up. So to see that amazing technical achievement has been surpassed in every way is pretty eye-opening. From an actual user and not just a benchmarking point of view, the M3 Max has run perfectly. I routinely have multiple memory and CPU hogging programs and processes up at the same time. I'll play a game, have multiple Safari tabs open, be chatting in Discord, and have Photoshop up because I forgot to close it. I forget to close it all the time. And my M3 Max hasn't even shrugged. Not only hasn't it shrugged, but I very rarely hear the fans turn on. Yes, they will turn on after a bit of raiding in World of Warcraft, and they do turn on during the Cinebench tests, but even when they're on, they're pretty quiet. I'm barely using the CPU, GPU, or the memory. And if you were doing all those things and you're just using this as a home computer, well, first of all, you bought too much computer for that task, but you really need, you really have to be doing some advanced, heavy work, which is, well, it's outside my scope of experience to stress. Gaming has been great. I've been playing hours of World of Warcraft Classic, which, yes, is a 15-year-old game, but those raids still have a ton of particle effects, and it's a big memory hog, and some of those fights in ICC have given me some frame rate issues, but I haven't seen the same thing here, and I'm pretty happy about that. On newer games, I've been trying the latest Lies of Pi game, and it also does not stress the system out too much. Now, it stresses me out because I'm not very good at Dark Soul games, but the computer's not stressed out, at least. Yes, these are optimized for Apple Silicon, and games not optimized for Apple Silicon will not work as well. In fact, a lot of games just won't run on MacBooks. So hopefully this will be the start of more developers taking it seriously, because having this kind of portable power with this kind of portable display is really impressive. Battery life, I haven't been able to test as much. I guess folks were getting irritated about me mentioning my broken ankle, but I have to tell you, if I don't have the opportunity for real life testing of some of these things. So I'm in the final stages of getting my normal life back on track, so hopefully we'll get back to it soon. I haven't really traveled or left my home office during the past week of use, so the reported battery life is still pretty awesome, but this is something we'll have to revisit during a 1-month long-term follow-up. Another thing that I've absolutely loved is the silver color. It's not silver as you might normally think with Apple colors. Silver for me is like a lighter space gray. It's pretty standard, still looks good, don't get me wrong, but it's a pretty standard, somewhat boring color. This silver, I don't know, it's like a mix of that, but also Starlight from the M2 MacBook Air lineup. I'm telling you, this color looks incredible. I doubt you're going to be able to see it through the camera and all the lights here, but if you have any kind of curiosity for Apple color palettes, you should go check one of these out in person. Right now, I mean, this is my favorite Apple laptop color ever. My poor color vocabulary is not doing this laptop justice. It almost gleams even when it's sitting in my office under my normal room lights. It holds no fingerprints. It doesn't look like it'll be too problematic for scratches or dings. This is the best color that I've ever seen come out of Apple, and it isn't even close. It's not flashy, it's not crazy, it's just it's so good. I have seen the space black options when checking it out in an Apple store over the weekend, but I'm telling you, if you want a high quality, beautiful laptop, you get this version of silver. I'm not sure if this will move towards the other laptops next year, like the Airs or anything, but whew. And another thing I've really liked is the versatility of this MacBook. You've already seen how much more bar charts it has compared to the M1 MacBook, and the crazy thought is you get that power whether you are sitting at a desk like I am now, or if you are literally anywhere else in the world. The specific reason I keep with this bigger MacBook and I don't go to like a MacBook Pro 14 or even the MacBook Air is that transferability of operation, if that makes sense. The bigger display is significantly bigger and acts as a traveling desktop computer wherever you go. Sure, I guess if you have a big enough bag or somebody to carry it for you, the iMac could also be a good travel desktop, but for something that fits in a standard old backpack, you won't get a better travel computer. We already touched on it a bit earlier, but not only the power, not only the gorgeous industry-leading display, but you don't need anything else to have that desktop-like ability. The trackpad's incredible, the keyboard's incredible, and yes, when I'm traveling, I'll bring a Magic Keyboard and a mouse, but I don't need those things, and I certainly don't need adapters or docks to get that functionality. In a wholly minimalistic setting, I'll put this on a book or something in a hotel room to get it up and back, and I'll have my keyboard mouse combination in my bag with me, giving me what I had when typing this script at my home desk. The chairs, okay, hotel chairs are not nearly as comfortable as my office chair here, so That's one thing I can't bring with me. You don't have to pay this much money to get that travel capability. The M1 Max MacBook Pro does the same thing and for much less money at this point, but this is currently the most powerful way to do that. So at the end of the week, what are my thoughts? I love this laptop. It seamlessly fit into my existing structure and has been an objective upgrade over my M1 Max. It's fast, lightweight, beautiful, and while expensive, this will be an excellent companion of mine over the next few years. Would I recommend one? If you have an M1 Max and you are happy with the performance, no, I wouldn't recommend the M3 Max. It's great, but in day-to-day use, I haven't seen that much of a performance upgrade. If you have anything before the M1 Max, yes, absolutely. I would recommend this computer. It would be a crazy upgrade for anybody still rocking an Intel MacBook. If you don't have a MacBook at all and are looking at your first entry, maybe? If you get it and find that you hate it, Apple does have a very good return policy, so there shouldn't be too much of a risk there for just trying it out. Look, I'm very, very happy with this laptop. It's met every expectation I've had and is a solid performance boost. What about you? Do you have or are you considering the M3 Max, either in 14 or 16-inch varieties? Let us know in the comments below. And if you like this video, click here to see that initial gaming test. Click, 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 click. Thanks for watching. It almost dropped here. I'm sorry I couldn't tap as much because it almost fell off my lap.